why do I mix imperial and metric units? Well, obviously I'm a product of my upbringing and cannot be personally blamed for that. I live in the US and we're taught the imperial system from a young age, and it's totally impossible to uproot something like that so deep-seated. But I do use units of measure that are appropriate for the task. In the beginning of the channel, I designed dungeon tiles around a very specific problem statement that had to do with a 1-inch miniature base. The problem was defined in inches, so the solution was defined in inches. It would not have been meaningful to convert that to 25.4 millimeters because a human being cannot reliably measure and mark 25.4 millimeters. Nor would it have been appropriate to round down to 25 millimeters because the whole point was being able to fit 2 miniatures in a standard 2-space wide hallway. For that application, increments and clean fractions of inches was easier to use. Conversely, look at the sector walkways in episode 115. I did use millimeters for the height of the soup can because in that application it was more appropriate to use. See, I knew I was going to be making staircases later on, and that meant I was going to be dividing up the height by the number of stairs to come up with the height of each stair step. Now the odds of that division resulting in a clean fraction of inches, like a quarter or a half, was low. Rather, dividing the overall height in millimeters would give a more meaningful and reproducible number. Another time inches was appropriate. The Gothic buildings from episode 77. The height of each floor was 3 inches. Why? Because the game's rules use inches. That terrain was going to be used for Warhammer 40k, and in 40k, models have a movement score in units of inches. In fact, you measure all distances in that game using inches, weapon ranges, and so on. So you don't need a tape measure to know that moving a soldier from one floor to the next takes up 3 inches of his movement. Again, right units of measure for the right application. Here's an example where I was really dumb, the inn from episode 38. I gave the dimensions for those outcroppings with decimal inches. Now, it so happens that I have an engineering ruler that does deci inches, but that's rare. The common ruler will not have that, and no one really measures that way. It was dumb to give the diagram in inches. I should have used millimeters, because that step of the project involved solving for angles in all 3 dimensions, so there was no way that some of those sides were going to end up as clean fractions of inches. Should have used metric. Another instance I made an error, episode 9 for the cardstock miniatures. I should have used millimeters when talking about height. That's the industry standard. 28 millimeter miniature means 28 millimeters from the ground to the figure's eyes. I used like 1 3/8 of an inch or something, which was dumb. So when you see me varying what system I use from episode to episode, or even within the same episode, now at least you understand why, even if you don't like it, which I can certainly understand. Alright, well the length of this video just hit 0.15 milli fortnights, so I'm going to go ahead and call it. I'm Wyloch, and thank you for watching.